Hi everyone. In this video, we will solve exponential equations using logarithms. Solve, round the answer to the nearest tenth. In our equation, we want to solve for the x, but unfortunately, the x is in the exponent, so we need to use a way to get it down out of the exponent so that we can solve. And that's where logarithms help us. So what we're going to do is, because we have two things equal to one another, using the one-to-one property of logarithms, which says if I have sum m equaling sum n, then the logarithm of any sort of base, in this case I'm going to pick b, of the first number equals the same logarithm of the same base of the second number. And so what we can do here is take the logarithm of both sides and the equal sign stays balanced. So we're going to take log, and we can either pick log base 10, the common log, or the natural log, log base e. The reason we're going to do that is we've been asked to round the answer, and that both the natural log and the common log are in our calculator, so we can easily calculate this in our calculator. So I'm going to choose log base 10. And then I have log base 10 of 8 to the x minus 5 equals log base 10 of 6 to the x. And that equal sign holds true because we've done the same to both sides and they were already equal to one another to start with. Now we can use some of our properties to get those x's out of the exponent. To get the x's out of these exponents, we're going to use the power rule and roll it down in front of the logarithms and multiply it out in front. So we end up with, and I'm going to put x minus 5 in parentheses because that whole thing is the exponent, and multiply it to log, and I'm choosing base 10 of 8, equals, on this side, roll the x down in front using the power rule, so we get x times log base 10 of 6. Now on the left-hand side, we're going to need to get that x out of the parentheses. So we're going to do the distributive property, and we end up with x times log base 10 of 8 minus 5 times log 8, and this is still equal to x log 6. Now I have x's out of the exponents and no longer inside the parentheses, but I need to combine all of the terms with an x on one side, just like we've done before. We can pick either side we want the variable to be on, and just for traditional sake, I'm going to move all of the variables to the left side. So I'm going to add 5 log 8 to both sides so that I have x log of 8 equals x log of 6 plus 5 log of 8. And then I need to subtract x log of 6 from both sides, minus x log of 6. So I have 5 log of 8 equals x log of 8 minus x log of 6. Now that I have all of the terms with an x together, I can factor out the greatest common factor of x. So I have x on the outside, and I've factored it out, so I'm left with log of 8 minus log of 6. And this equals 5 log of 8. Now I just need to solve for x by dividing both sides by log of 8 minus log of 6. And now I've solved for x. It's all alone on the left-hand side, so I can plug into my calculator 5 times log 8, and this will be in parentheses. Now on the bottom, we'll need to make sure that we want all of this in the denominator, so we'll put parentheses around the log 8 and the log of 6, and we'll also have parentheses around 8 and around 6. There is another way of doing that, so we could do all of that in our calculator, and if that makes sense to you, then that's the way to do it. We could also do a little rearranging with our rules to make it a little easier to put into our calculator. So we could move the 5 up into the exponent with the power rule. So we get log of 8 raised to the 5th power over, and in the denominator we have a subtraction between two logs with the same base. So this is the quotient rule, which gives me log of 8 over 6. Now I have a log divided by a log. Now some may want to try and do the quotient rule, except that, or the opposite of the quotient rule. But the quotient rule is the subtraction sign here. This big division right here would be something of the change of base, but that doesn't help us enter it into the calculator. So we're going to keep it as this. You could simplify 8 over 6 to be 4 over 3 if you want, but you can leave it as 8 over 6. Your calculator will do that. This might be just a little easier to type into your calculator so that we have log of 8 to the 5th divided by log of either 8, 6, or 4/3, whichever one. And those are the only parentheses you'll need, is either around the 8, 6, or the 4/3, whichever, and the 8 to the 5th. So I'm going to type in both of those, and you should get the exact same thing in your calculator, which yields, I'm going to come up here and write it down, 36.14312 and we can stop there. Now we're going to round our answer to the nearest tenth. The tenths place value is 1 decimal place, so we're going to look at the number to the right. 4 is less than 5, so it rounds all of these down to a 0, leaving us 36.1. We could put on the zeros, but there's no need, so we're just going to round it to 36.1, and we're all done.